Story 1. Echoes of Midnight. The wind howled through the skeletal trees, carrying with it the bitter cold of the year's final night. The small town of Ravenshadow lay shrouded in an eerie silence, as if the very earth held its breath in anticipation. The moon hung low in the ink-black sky, casting long, ominous shadows that danced across the frozen ground. At the heart of Ravenshadow, an ancient mansion stood like a sentinel against the encroaching darkness. The Whitaker estate, long abandoned and rumored to be cursed, loomed over the town with its decaying façade and broken windows. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about the tragic events that had befallen the Whitaker family on a New Year's Eve decades ago, events that had left the mansion deserted and tainted with an otherworldly presence. As the clock neared midnight, a group of friends gathered at the town's only pub, the Midnight Owl. They laughed and clinked glasses, dismissing the ominous tales that the locals shared. Determined to defy the superstitions that clung to Ravenshadow, the group hatched a plan to spend the New Year's Eve night inside the Whitaker estate, convinced that it was the perfect setting for an unforgettable experience. The chill in the air was palpable as the friends approached the imposing mansion. The creaking gates swung open with a mournful groan, as if protesting the intrusion into the haunted domain. Undeterred, they entered the mansion, their footsteps echoing through the desolate halls. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper as they explored room after room, uncovering forgotten relics of a bygone era. The air inside the mansion felt heavy, laden with the weight of secrets that whispered through the drafts. The friends nervously chuckled, their bravado slowly giving way to a growing sense of unease. As the clock struck midnight, a sudden cold gust extinguished the candles, plunging the mansion into darkness. Panic set in as the friends fumbled for their flashlights, their nervous laughter replaced by hushed whispers. In the oppressive blackness, they heard the distant sound of footsteps, echoing through the halls like a macabre dance. One by one, the friends vanished into the shadows, their terrified screams swallowed by the silent abyss. The remaining few stumbled blindly through the mansion, desperately searching for an escape from the malevolent force that seemed to have awakened within its walls. The once grand ballroom, now draped in cobwebs, became the stage for a nightmarish spectacle. Ghostly figures materialized, twirling in phantom waltzes to the haunting melody of long-forgotten music. Faces of the Whitaker family, twisted in anguish, appeared in the ornate mirrors, reflecting the horrors of their tragic past. As the first rays of dawn broke, revealing the decaying mansion in all its ghastly glory, only one of the friends emerged from the nightmare. Shivering and broken, they stumbled out into the cold morning light, haunted by the memories of a New Year's Eve that defied explanation. Ravenshadow stood silent once more, the Whitaker estate returning to its slumber, its secrets buried in the depths of the past. The townsfolk, oblivious to the harrowing events of that night, awoke to a new year, unaware of the lingering echoes of midnight that reverberated through the haunted halls of the mansion on the hill. Story 2. The Timeless Countdown. In the heart of the dense Blackwood forest, a forgotten village named Eldritch Haven lay nestled beneath a canopy of ancient trees. Eldritch Haven was a place steeped in mystery, its history obscured by the thick fog that clung to the surroundings year-round. The villagers, who rarely ventured beyond the village limits, spoke in hushed tones about a New Year's Eve ritual that had persisted for centuries. As the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the gnarled branches, the villagers gathered in the town square, their faces etched with a mix of anticipation and dread. A centuries-old clock tower loomed over them, its rusty gears grinding with an eerie resonance. The ancient timepiece held the power to bridge the realms between the living and the dead, a tradition passed down from generation to generation. The villagers, clad in tattered cloaks, began the ritual. They circled the clock tower, chanting incantations that echoed through the forest, summoning the spirits that lurked in the shadows. As the clock struck midnight, the air shimmered with an otherworldly energy, and the village was enveloped in an unsettling silence. Unbeknownst to the rest of the world, Eldritch Haven existed in a temporal anomaly during the transition between years. The boundary between the living and the dead blurred, allowing the spirits of the past to traverse freely into the present. As the villagers held their breath, the first specters emerged from the fog, their gaunt faces twisted in agony. A group of unsuspecting outsiders, drawn by tales of the mysterious Eldritch Haven, had arrived to witness the spectacle. Intrigued by the villagers' strange customs, they mingled with the crowd, their laughter mingling with the ominous undertones of the incantations. Little did they know that they were about to become part of a nightmarish tradition. As the clock tower tolled, the villagers and the spirits converged in a spectral dance. The air crackled with energy as the boundaries of time and reality blurred. The outsiders, caught in the ethereal whirlwind, found themselves transported to different eras, their screams echoing through the forest as they witnessed the past horrors of Eldritch Haven. In one moment, they stood in a forgotten graveyard, surrounded by tombstones of villagers who had become trapped in the timeless cycle. In the next, they were witnesses to a long-forgotten plague that had swept through Eldritch Haven, claiming the lives of its inhabitants. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the spirits of the past seemed to revel in the visitors' terror. As the clock tower continued its inexorable countdown, the outsiders struggled to navigate the shifting landscapes of Eldritch Haven. Each toll of the bell marked a passage into another era, another horror. The once jubilant atmosphere turned into a nightmarish carnival of the macabre, with the spirits feeding off the fear of the interlopers. As the first light of the new year broke through the horizon, the outsiders found themselves back in the village square. The clock tower's final chime echoed through the forest, and the temporal anomaly dissipated. The villagers, now weary and aged, stared at the strangers who had inadvertently become witnesses to Eldritch Haven's darkest secrets. The outsiders, pale and shaken, stumbled out of the forest, their minds forever scared by the horrors they had witnessed. Eldritch Haven returned to its usual state, the fog concealing its ancient secrets. The villagers, left to ponder the consequences of meddling with forces beyond their understanding, retreated to their homes. As the rest of the world celebrated the dawn of a new year, Eldritch Haven remained cloaked in its perpetual fog, a village forever bound to the timeless countdown that bridged the realms of the living and the dead. The clock tower, its rusted gears now silent, stood as a silent witness to the cyclical horrors that unfolded beneath the ancient trees. Story 3: The Curse Celebration. Nestled in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, the quaint town of Moonvale was known for its rustic charm and the warmth of its tight-knit community. However, beneath the veneer of small-town simplicity, a dark history lay dormant, waiting to be awakened on the eve of the new year. At the edge of Moonvale stood an old mansion, crumbling and overgrown with ivy. It was the former residence of the Vanthorn family, who, legend had it, had been cursed by an ancient entity for a transgression that had been buried in the town's forgotten archives. The mansion was abandoned for years, its ominous silhouette looming over the town like a specter. As the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve, a group of unsuspecting teenagers gathered at the outskirts of the Van Horn mansion. Drawn by whispers of a legendary New Year's celebration that would break the monotony of their small-town lives, they carried with them the spirit of rebelliousness and invincibility that often accompanies youth. The moon hung low in the frosty sky, casting an ethereal glow on the dilapidated mansion. The air was thick with anticipation as the group crossed the threshold into the haunted halls. The entrance creaked open, seemingly welcoming them into the forgotten world of the Vanthorns. The mansion, despite its decay, exuded an otherworldly charm. Dust-covered chandeliers swayed gently, caught in an unseen breeze, and faded portraits of long-forgotten ancestors watched the intruders with hollow eyes. The teenagers, oblivious to the foreboding atmosphere, laughed and joked as they explored the mansion's echoing corridors. In the grand ballroom, they stumbled upon an antique music box, its delicate melody echoing through the silence of the mansion. Entranced, they gathered around as the haunting tune filled the air. Unbeknownst to them, the music box was the key to awakening the ancient curse that slumbered within the Van Horn mansion. As the clock neared midnight, the air grew colder, and the laughter of the teenagers turned nervous. Shadows seemed to dance along the walls, taking on sinister forms that flickered in and out of existence. The music box, now playing an unsettling tune, seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and the room was plunged into darkness. Panic seized the group as they fumbled for their flashlights, their nervous whispers growing into terrified screams. The shadows in the room seemed to materialize into ghostly figures, flickering in and out of existence like phantoms from the past. The curse that had slept for decades awakened with a vengeance. The spirits of the Van Thorn family, wronged and tormented, sought retribution. The teenagers, trapped in the mansion, were subjected to nightmarish visions of the Van Thorns' tragic history. Each room told a different tale of betrayal, revenge, and despair, as if the very walls held the memories of the past. Desperate to escape the clutches of the curse, the group navigated the twisting corridors, only to find themselves ensnared in a labyrinth of malevolent spirits. The mansion seemed to morph and shift, leading them in circles, trapping them in an endless nightmare. As the clock struck midnight, the mansion seemed to exhale a haunting sigh. The spirits, having exacted their revenge, receded into the shadows. The cursed celebration had reached its climax, leaving the once defiant group of teenagers shaken and changed. As dawn broke over Moonvale, the Van Thorn mansion stood silent and abandoned once more. The town, unaware of the horrors that had transpired within its forgotten walls, continued its peaceful existence. The legends of the cursed celebration lingered only in whispers, a cautionary tale for those who dared to tread too close to the shadows of the past. And so, the new year dawned in Moonvale, concealing the secrets of the Van Thorn mansion in the folds of time. The memories of that fateful night, etched in the minds of the surviving teenagers, served as a chilling reminder that some curses were better left undisturbed.